I had hauled up the last of my belongings to my new apartment. I dropped my black trash bag full of clothes on the floor and surveyed the bare surroundings of my new home. The walls were beige with stray stains randomly dotted from God knows what, from the previous tenants that the owners didn't finish cleaning. The carpet had a coarseness that I could feel, even beneath the thick soles of my shoes, and gave off a faint aroma of cigarette smoke. There was going to be a lot of work for me to make this dingy unit somewhat habitable. A day later, I was already feeling buyer's remorse for taking this place immediately. Either the property owner was trying their best to unload this dump as quick as they could, or I was desperate enough to sign off on it, thinking that it wouldn't be so bad. The feeling changed when I had a good look at my new neighbors living right next door to me. She turned to greet me, and I immediately averted my gaze downward. I certainly found her attractive, but my natural shyness took over. She stopped me, and I somehow managed to look her in her beautiful, hazel eyes that almost hypnotized me. "I said you just moved here, right?" she asked me, while I marveled at the melody of her speaking voice. Yes, I did," I stammered, the words almost stalling in my throat. Being an introverted person, I'm not used to people randomly talking to me, on the rare moments it does happen. But when it's a beautiful person, like she was, my anxiety becomes hard to manage. And yet, here she was, talking to me, and even giving me a perfectly pearly white smile. Before I knew it, I extended my arm to her, and "I'm Josh," slipped out, and I cursed myself in my mind. Now she had to think you're a weirdo, I thought. She grabbed my hand and shook it, the skin of her palm radiating a warmth that traveled through and up my arm. After that, I expected that she'd never talk to me again, not even looking my way again. So, when she showed up on my door with a bag full of takeout, to say I was surprised would be the biggest understatement of my lifetime. "Just wanted to surprise you with some excellent food. I spent all day making it." She winked as she said this, and I felt my face almost burn red. We got to know each other over the next couple of hours, and little by little, I opened up to her, which was a first for me. I still felt a little reserved, but I could relax knowing she didn't think I was a complete dork. I even cracked a few lame jokes, and she laughed like she was watching me perform stand-up. It seemed like it ended so quick and she left. She promised she'd see me soon, even though I was left alone in my less than stellar living space. I was glad for such great company. I went to sleep later, my bed situated right across from my closet. My closet was empty, aside from a few shirts I had hanging inside, and the door was shut. This was a superstition I had that I never quite grew out of. It was early in the morning hours when I had randomly woken up that I heard it. I realized what it was, and my sleepy eyes had bulged out of my sockets. From across my bed, I could hear the faint but unmistakable rhythm of breathing. There was someone in my room, just across my bed. I pulled my blankets closer, like it was a shield protecting me from the intruder. I didn't dare move, didn't dare breathe, praying that whoever was here would just walk away. My alarm clock sat next to me, its soft green glow the only illuminating source in my room, and I was desperately hoping that it wasn't bright enough to expose my face. The minutes ticked by slowly, while the pounding of my heart grew rapidly and harsher with every second. All the while, the breathing never faltered or grew louder. Just the steady exchange of oxygen of someone overlooking my sleeping form. The minutes ticked by for what felt like a long eternity with no change. I was summoning enough courage to try to look in the direction of my intruder. I turned my eyes over, and my fears were confirmed. From what I could make out in the darkness, my closet door was not closed like it was, but wide open. Inside, I could make out the crouched form of a person sitting watching me from across my room. I wanted to scream, to confront this person, but my fears kept me paralyzed and had my vocal cords in a stranglehold. All I could do was lay there as this figure stayed hunched over and breathing. I woke up to the sun's rays breaking through the window and the dawn being a welcome sight. I looked back at my closet and it was closed, just how I left it the previous night. I took a moment to calm down and rationalize that it was just a nightmare. Maybe a case of sleep paralysis that I had read about online. It took me a while to get myself out of bed and out for my routine. I got to work, operating on autopilot throughout the day. I finally made it home, and Lena was walking opposite of me. "How was your first night?" she inquired and looked at my sleep-deprived face. "You look like you didn't sleep well." I wanted to tell her about the weird dream I had last night, and maybe get a hug from her while she tells me it's gonna be alright. I just, I had a rough night. First night jitters and all. As I said this, my eyes kept darting between her and off to the side. As much as I wanted to admire her, I felt so intimidated by being in her presence, and I didn't feel worthy to. "Well, I won't be out long, so let me know if you need anything." She waved delicately as she walked away. I was glad for her offer, and I tried to put the whole nightmare out of my mind completely. I was going to bed again later that night, and I made sure that the closet door was shut. No way it could open from the inside. There was nothing else inside either. I woke up at the same time in the night, and I felt dread flood in my body as I again heard the soft breathing from my closet. My eyes darted, and this time, I dared to move my whole head toward my closet. Door wide open. The intruder was hunched over. My breathing became quick and shallow, as if all oxygen in the room had been depleted. I stared down at whoever was in my closet, and they coolly remained still. I froze, like a deer watching upcoming headlights of imminent demise, as I waited for the nightmare to charge me. But it never did. They just kept sitting there, breathing softly. The reality had set in that this wasn't a nightmare, that there was a person sitting in my closet, watching me from the shadows. I watched for hours, until I noticed the dawn began to bleed into my bedroom. In that half a second I looked away, the figure had vanished. This time, the closet door was still open, a sign that this was in fact real. I walked inside for any indication that someone was inside during the night. There was nothing there. I was both so afraid because I had seen an intruder staring at me from my closet, and frustrated at myself for being so afraid to do anything. I decided to do something about it, and I would catch whoever it was in the act. I had gone in search of anything that would help me, and I settled on a modest setup, but hopefully it would help me out. I picked up the last item I needed when I felt a hand grip my shoulder, and I had nearly jumped 10 feet in the air. "Whoa, sorry about that." Lena greeted me with her usual vibrance. "Didn't mean to scare you like that. Just trying to say hi." "Oh, that's alright," I said, trying to get my heart rate to slow down. I'm not great when people sneak up on me like that. "Oh, well, that's a problem, because sneaking up on people is what I do best," she said with a sly smirk. She was devious, but I couldn't help finding it cute. She walked around with me for a while, and being in her presence made me forget about everything for a bit. I genuinely didn't want to go back to my apartment with whoever waited for me to fall asleep. I wanted to keep talking to Lena, get to know her even more, get her to like me more. Regretfully, we had to part ways, but she promised we'd meet up again soon. Back in my room, I set up a makeshift surveillance system. A camera and a motion-activated light had to do, but it turned out to be all that I needed. I had everything ready by the time I went to sleep, until I had woken up moments ago. I woke up to a brightness in my eyes, and the breathing again. My camera was pointed right in view of my closet, and was recording whoever it was inside and had a light on them. I primed myself to finally confront the intruder, call 911, and that would be the end of it. I bolted upright, ready to defend myself, and immediately my confidence was shattered, and my resolve was drained when I saw who it was inside. Lena. She had been squatting in my closet in plain view, glowering at me in a way I'd never seen her do, or thought she was capable of. I would say it's Lena I'm looking at, but at the same time, it's not. The way she's hunched over, her skeletal legs were elongated. Her arms were just as long and taut around her forearms and ended in 5 sharp blades of her fingernails. And her face. Oh God, her face. As I'm looking at it now, it's straight from my nightmares. Her grin looks horseshoe-shaped. It's stretched impossibly long across her face. Her eyes have a malice to them, a predator toying with its prey in a prolonged torture before devouring it whole. I'm watching her now as she's staring back at... She's standing straight up. God, she's impossibly tall. The top of her head is nearly touching the ceiling. She's walking towards me. Strands of drool are hanging off her teeth. Somebody, please help me.